Alright, now I know some of you guys out there like the idea of IEMs, but you don't like the fact that they have to go into your ear canal. So I decided to look around and pick up a set of higher quality earbuds, the ones that just kind of sit in your ear like Apple earpods from way back when. And these are the Moondrop Nameless, so let's talk about it. Alright, disclaimer, this is going to be more of a gaming review versus an audiophile review. While I will be touching on audiophile aspects, it'll be in terms of like how well that'll affect the earbuds themselves in their performance in games. I did buy this myself, so you'll get my honest opinion, but even if it wasn't bought by myself and someone sent it to me, you'd still get my honest opinion as always. That's how we roll on this channel. With that being said, let's get started. First off, we have the box, which is already extremely disappointing because there is no waifu. No! Despite being a Moondrop product, there is no waifu on this, and I'm extremely disappointed, and I will forever be disappointed. At least the box looks nice. Anyway, inside the box, you're gonna get the earbuds, which have the cable attached, a little carrying pouch, which inside contains those little socks you can put over the ear tips if you want to, and that's basically about it, aside from all the paperwork. Starting with the cable, it's not removable, but this isn't much of a problem because the cable itself feels pretty durable. Everything from the 3.5mm jack as well as the splitter seems to be built pretty well. The cable's connection into the earbuds themselves also feel pretty solid, so no worries here. Now as for the earbuds themselves, they feel pretty good as they're made mostly out of metal, with plastic covering where the sound driver is at. A little interesting detail, you can tell which one is left or right not just by the letters, but also by the little feel of the earbuds at the ends. For those wanting better comfort, you can put over those foam sleeves over the earbuds in case you're into that. Anyway, here's how they look like on my head, and well, they're honestly pretty okay looking. They are regular standard earbuds, they don't stick out too much, and they sit in quite comfortably in the ears. They're extremely lightweight, so the weight of them in my ears never bothered me, but the shape of them kinda bothered me after about 2 hours of usage. And this has a lot to do with the shape of my ear's conch and how the earbud sits in the conch, as my conch gives the earbuds a bit of a hug, and that leads to some pressure points over time, which can get a little bit sore feeling, but your mileage will vary depending on the shape and size of your ear conch. Now when it comes to the sound of the earbuds, it's kind of interesting. It feels like it's trying to go for a relaxed, warm sound, but due to the design, it ends up being pushed towards a more balanced sound at the same time. It's interesting to say the least, so let's get a little bit more into detail. So then, at the low end, that's where you're going to notice a great lack of something, and that is bass feel. There are bass notes, you will hear a bass sound, you will hear low notes, but you're not going to feel it very much. It's not punchy, it's not boomy. It is deep, it's low, and it's clean, but due to the lack of impact and lack of feel from the bass, it feels like there's not a lot of bass if you really need to feel the bass to register bass in your mind. So it may feel a little bit missing or anemic for some people, but for other people, I guess you would like the sound, because some people would register that as balanced, but I don't know if I would personally register that as being a balanced sound for bass. I mean, yeah, sure, it's nice to have a clean, clear bass, but if it's just notes without oomph, it just kind of feels like it's missing something and makes you want to ask for more, at least for normal people out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, for some songs and some sounds, you will feel a little bit of it, but it's not a lot of it that you would expect, especially if you're listening to a very bassy song you're used to listening to. Those impacts are going to come at you very disappointingly, trust me. It's kind of sad. But if you're expecting it, I guess it's not so bad, but I digress. Moving on to the mids, that's where these things kind of shine. The mids are definitely more forward, they're clean, they're detailed, they're clear, they're nice. I like the mids on this thing. It's got a good sound presence, especially when you're listening to like vocals and stuff like that, so I do like these. And when it comes to gaming, like for footsteps, it's gonna be pretty clear. I do like that. When we move into the highs are clean, they're clear, they're crisp, they don't get too sharp. They go up pretty high, honestly, but they don't go too high to the point where we get like harshness and sibilance, and sibilance is that knife cutting into your ear feeling when things get too harsh at the high end sound, so I didn't get too much of that, which is great. Soundstage is where these things also shine, and this also has to do with the design. They're more open, and as you would expect, you have a larger, more open feeling soundstage. And interestingly, the soundstage, while it is ovular, it does feel more rounder, like closer to a circle than an oval, so you get more space in terms of your front and your back. And something I also noticed in games was I had more upper headroom space, interestingly, which was kind of nice to have. As we get into imaging and sound separation, I guess we should talk more about its usage in gaming. So that's where I usually notice this a lot, because when it comes to imaging, it's usually when I'm tracking things for competitive games. So in that context, I thought that the imaging would be pretty great considering like the forward mids and the large soundstage, but they were just okay. Like the imaging was pretty okay in accuracy. It wasn't pinpoint. It was a little bit more than generally accurate, as I was able to track down enemies pretty easily from listening to their footsteps. But the sound separation wasn't the greatest. I thought it would be using the stage a little bit more, but it was just average at best. Some sounds were just, you know, not the best separated in the world. This might have to do with the design and like the weight of the sound and whatnot, but I do think there could have have been a bit more sound separation for these to be really good for competitive gaming. And there's a bit more to this in terms of its sound. It's sort of interesting. Like, while the mids were forward, they didn't call for my attention nearly as strongly. So they were a forward sound, but they weren't a very intense sounding mids. So while I do hear the steps and the gunshots and the sounds I need to hear within that mid range, I would have to home in on those sounds and consciously look for them a little bit more than I would on other earbuds, which would just shove the sound to my attention. These ones, I interestingly am given a choice. Do you want to focus on these sounds that you're tracking for, or do you not want to? It's up to you, but they are there in front of you, so take that as you will. This may be a good thing or a bad thing, because when things are brought to your attention in competitive games, you don't have to think about looking for them. With the Moondrop Nameless, you have to be a little bit more consciously looking for the sounds. So in games, you have to be like having that in mind, where you're hunting for those footstep sounds, because the same sounds are there. They're just not brought to your attention very strongly due to the lack of intensity. This may have to do also with the design of the earbuds having, being a little bit more open, so things have a little bit less weight and impact in sound, which is of course noticeable in the bass region, which could also affect the weight of sounds in the mid region if they're like mixed together, because that's just how sounds are. It's been a very interesting experience with the Moondrop Nameless. I wouldn't say these are bad for like competitive games. They're actually pretty good for competitive games, but I wouldn't say they're great for competitive games, because in competitive games you want that edge to always be there. This gives you the choice. Do you want to listen more closely for that edge, or do you not? It's totally up to you. When it comes to less competitive games, like more like worldly games, for that atmosphere and whatnot with the whole world and listening to it, it's kind of a mixed bag due to the lack of bass feel. So I wouldn't say I was like very immersed in the world, but I did very much enjoy the soundstage that I got to listen to in the world. There was just a lot of space. I just wish there was a little bit more oomph in that low end to like fully complete that immersive feel. So it's sort of a mixed bag, and it's like I said, it's been a very interesting set to use. At the end of the day, despite having a more forward mid presence, I would still define the Nameless as being a more relaxed sounding earbud. And whether you'll like it or not depends on your taste in music and what you're looking for competitive gaming or not competitive gaming. The sound is just very interesting and polarizing. I do keep coming back to them. I've actually had these for quite a while, and every now and then my opinion of them would keep changing because of their sound and how well or how not well they do in certain games versus others, and in certain songs versus others. This one's like a very interesting set, and it's hard to describe how I feel about them, but I honestly recommend a lot of you guys just going out and trying them out for yourself to see if you'll like them, unless you really need bass feel, in which case I recommend you don't try them. But if that's not big on your list and you just want really clean, clear, like mid and upper ranges without like too much of that, but you also don't want them shoved into your ear canal, try them out. Do give them a shot. Let me know how you like them, because I'm kind of curious. The sound is interesting. They're honestly pretty comfortable because of the design, but it's going to be very polarizing, which I understand due to the lack of like bass impact. These are interesting, and I have a love-hate relationship with them, so I may revisit them later on down the line and maybe look at other earbuds of this design. But with that being said, that's all I got for today. So if you do want to try them out, or buy them out, or buy them, you know what I mean. If you want to get them, I'll leave a link down in the description for you to like check out, buy them, try them yourself. Also, if this video did help you out at all, do leave me a like. It helps me in this whole YouTube space. Subscribe for more content, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting next. And that's it for you guys today. That's it for me guys today. That's it for all guys today. I don't use a script, and I probably should be using one. So that's pretty much all I have for today. So I'll see you guys later. Oh right, I almost forgot. I do have a Twitch. Sometimes I stream, sometimes I don't. So just put it out there. So bye.